Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I am Noah No Shorty. Today we're going to look at Biker Mice from Mars, and I'm not going to lie, there's a point when I kind of taken the mick out of this one, simply because I made a joke about it being the comic book adaptation of a Saturday morning cartoon that everyone's been clamouring for, and the joke is kind of low-hanging fruit, I'm not going to lie. I simply grew up at a time period when this was a TV show. I think I was in my teens, maybe early teens, and a lot of stuff that was popular then is still popular now, or at least has kind of like a cult following to certain degrees. But Biker Mice from Mars, I don't know a single person that's excited about it. I know two people are very excited about Samurai Pizza Cat, one of whom is a part-time member of staff here, the other one is a massive geek. And I can call him a massive geek, because he literally comes and shops in the comic book store I own, and goes to the role-playing society I'm the president of, so I know my geeks. I am fully equipped to hand out that label. Biker Mice from Mars, though, I don't know, there's not really enough call for it in my circle. There's a couple of people that, as I express some interest, and I don't mind ordering a spare one, simply because in this case, you've got Daniel Heaty doing the artwork for it, and he's brilliant. He did the Skin Police thing with Only Press not that long ago, and it was one of the best books I've read that year. Thoroughly enjoyable, can't wait for the second volume. In terms of the writing, Melissa Flores, I don't really know that much about her. I know she has done some stuff which has been on my radar, but I've never read anything. But I've got to say, I am impressed with it. I'm impressed because by page 3, I was literally laughing out loud and telling the comic book to F off because it was doing something which I found very, very adorable, very much in my wheelhouse, stuff I'm interested in, and I wasn't expecting it from a comic book about biker mice from Mars. And it was a very friendly FU, don't get me wrong. But before we get into like the gushing praise I'm going to lay on this rather silly and wonderful comic book, there's a couple of small elements of criticism which are worth bringing up. First off, in terms of artistry, I don't know if this one is a Heaty problem or if it's an inker or a colorist, but I don't really know the biker mice from Mars that well, and I found myself occasionally trying to figure out who's who, and I was looking at costume design as well as character design, and at one point somebody was in a room and I thought, alright, that's that dude, I know who that is now because of the clothes he's wearing, and then later on he wasn't wearing the same outfit even though it was the exact same scene, and I think somebody just forgot to give his t-shirt he was wearing under his cut sleeves. And it's an odd thing, but it was noticeable because I was looking for it, which does go into my other criticism. Like I've said, I don't really know that much about Biker Mice from Mars. I was aware of it. I maybe watched an episode or two when I was a kid. I didn't really know that much about this world or about these characters. And the way the story is written, it kind of either assumes people do know that, or it's absolutely trusting that people can just pick up context clues and carry on with it. And if you're dealing with something like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or maybe even Samurai Pizza Cat, then maybe there might be a little bit more knowledge that's like in the cultural zeitgeist, which is a terrible word, I don't like using it, but it still makes sense. But for Biker Mice from Mars, I just didn't know enough, and I'm not sure how many other people would know enough to be able to instantly pick up some of the stuff this book is putting down. Like I said, I was struggling occasionally to remember who was who, but I did like a lot of what was going on, and I can't really criticise too heavily, but it's just worth mentioning. In terms of what I liked, the thing that made me tell the comic book to F off was it hit some notes very early on that I thought, well, this is going to be a comic book for me. It's a biker gang on Mars, and they're basically getting together to fight authoritarianism, and it turns out they're not falling into the great man or great men of history kind of thing and have an entire organisation of individuals coming together to help as a community. And I'm like, oh, damn, this is exactly my kind of thing. I know you're thinking right now, anyone's watching enough of my videos, well, this is going to be Shorty talking about politics or thing. No, it really isn't, because that was a cool moment. This comic book is full of cool moments. There's so many little plot points and beats that are scattered throughout it that make it feel like a genuine living world. There's an awful lot of stuff which I think maybe if I had been a bigger fan of the comic book, I might be picking up on some like deep cut kind of stuff. But not knowing all that, I just get to experience it as it's laid out, and I get to see things like this rather wonderful romance potential, romantic triangle thing going on. Although, to quote or paraphrase a TV show I quite like, if you're going to graph it, it's a line and a dot. There's also somebody dealing with an elderly relative who has dementia. There is another person who has like quite big familial concerns in regard to the revolution and how different family members can help and how what they can do to help, how much danger they're going to go into, leads you down like a mental thought process of, wait, are we dealing with child soldiers here? On top of all that, we then also have literally a Bond villain setting off volcanoes to cause mayhem and death, which does the opposite of grounding it. All the things I'm talking about so far actually make it like a very nice grounded comic book about really big important issues. This one reminds you that it's still a Saturday morning cartoon, and you kind of have to just be expecting ridiculous OTT plots, and it all works brilliantly. It just does. And also Heaty's artwork is fantastic, and I kind of started with him talking about how he was involved in it. It'd be silly not to talk about how much I like his artwork. He's brilliant at what he does. from the sci-fi detailing to the big open world kind of stuff. If I have any criticism of his artwork specifically, I want to see more dynamism. We are dealing with a biker gang. I want to see more motion on the page, which is difficult to do with still images, but I know he's got it in, and I can't wait to see the rest of that come out in the following issues. That's it for me for now, though. Until I see you all again, look after yourselves, everyone. Stay safe.